Welcome back. The objectives of this video are to define the imposter syndrome and put its attributes, characteristics, and components into both societal and personal perspective, analyze and reflect upon our personal place on the imposter syndrome spectrum, question and reevaluate our underlying assumptions regarding success and accomplishment in light of our evaluation of our place on the imposter syndrome spectrum. In the last level, we discussed how having incorrect feelings and attitudes about money lead directly to becoming an under-earner. In this first video on your journey to experiencing quantum competence, we are going to expand on that concept by telling you all about the imposter syndrome, which is a very common but incorrect attitude that we have about our own abilities. It's been estimated that up to 70% of successful professionals show symptoms of imposter syndrome at least once in our lives, so let's figure out where you stand. Are you afraid of the no talent police? People with imposter syndrome feel like such frauds, they joke about being discovered by the no talent police. The self-doubts of professional women usually seem illogical to other people. Observers will often wonder how someone so incredibly accomplished can feel so insecure about their ability. As mentioned in the introduction, Sheryl Sandberg, who did her undergraduate degree at Harvard University where she graduated summa cum laude and Phi Beta Kappa, and was awarded the John H. Williams Prize for the top graduating student in economics, and then went on to Harvard Business School, suffered huge self-doubts despite her achievements acquired through consistent hard work over many years. But for the person who suffers self-doubts, the feelings are visceral and are based on deep-seated beliefs formed as children before we had access to logic. The imposter syndrome is a perfect example of this. Just like Sandberg experienced, and capable professional women with imposter syndrome walk around feeling like frauds and often expect that they'll be found out. A typical professional woman with imposter syndrome is quite sure she doesn't have any real talent. Others are way more talented than she is. Luck is the only reason she's had any success. Just sheer luck, then maybe others being nice to her, or that she'd somehow gamed the system, but it's not because she's truly smart, talented, and accomplished. If you really believed that you shouldn't even be where you are right now, you'd be grateful to still have your job. You certainly wouldn't feel that you deserved a pay rise or bonus or any other perks that the senior men around you doing the same work are enjoying as their due. As we'll cover in Power Level. Negotiation Ninja, the types of benefits of the job that the men around you are likely to have access to may stun you. You're likely to be so busy looking over your shoulder for the no talent police that you hadn't noticed that there is a metaphorical goodies cupboard and that the key they gave you to your office filing cabinet unlocks that door as well. The imposter syndrome phenomenon was first described and named nearly 50 years ago when Dr. Pauline Rose Clowns and psychotherapist Dr. Susan Imes discovered a significant pattern among high-achieving women of dismissing accomplishments as some type of fluke. Because their achievement levels were an anomaly half a century ago, researchers thought at first it was unique to women, but as time passed, they realized men have it too, just not as often or as severely as women. People with imposter syndrome are likely to say, "If I can do it, anyone can do it," which belittles their accomplishments. Women with imposter syndrome also tend to be highly perfectionistic, will overreact to the least little flaw, and be crushed by any constructive criticism, no matter how nicely put. So if you harbor secret doubts that your accomplishments mean anything at all, or you worry that you're just fooling people and someday soon they'll catch on to what a bozo you really are, then chances are high you have imposter syndrome. That is, that you incorrectly assume that you are incompetent. In a landmark study of professional successful people by Professor Gail Matthews, per full 70% of them felt like frauds at least once in their lives. This was a study of currently successful people, not people who might be considered to have an ordinary level of achievement in life. Sporadic imposter moments can happen even if you don't feel like imposters all the time. Whether your insecurities rise to the level of the imposter syndrome or not, it's safe to say that all of us feel burdened at times with heavy doubts, fears, and worry. It severely impacts our ability to advocate for ourselves in this rough and tumble world. Do any of the imposter syndrome traits I just described sound like you at all? If so, chances are high you've been selling yourself short, refusing to take risks that would likely be beneficial, and you give up before you should. Those are all behavioral repercussions of imposter syndrome. One of the world's leading experts on imposter syndrome is Dr. Valerie Young, who has written several books on the subject and conducts workshops all over the world. She has an exercise that has successfully taken tens of thousands of people through the process of evaluating their lives as if it were a movie script. It's a wonderfully creative, then fun way to help figure out when and where you feel like an imposter and helps you to triumph over your misconceptions. Dr. Young's exercise is an entire program all by itself, so if you feel that the imposter syndrome is a major challenge for you, it would be worthwhile for you to work through it. We feel so strongly about wanting you to feel as bright and competent as you really are, that we've secured the rights from Dr. Young to share this exercise with you, and you can download it via a link in the Module 3 PDF. We also need to mention confidence here. It's covered in detail in the next module, Power Level Radical Confidence, so let's just say that confidence and competence are not the same thing. Confidence does not actually come from competence. We like to think it does, and it should, but it often doesn't. Imposter syndrome occurs when there is such a disconnect between your actual competence and your feelings of confidence that you waste energy feeling unintelligent instead of looking for new opportunities and forging ahead with confidence. Since self-doubt is based on emotion rather than logic, it's not enough to remind yourself of accomplishments, although that helps. You really need to dig down and uncover the emotions beneath it. Where do they come from? When, where, and how did they originate? Unlock that door, then you can apply some logic and change the perception at its core. It's an awesome process to help you heal and grow. As Sandberg herself said, the seeds of resilience are planted in the way we process the negative events in our lives. And that's the process we'll be navigating in the next few videos. Reflective questions. Write on the following questions in the Module 3 Fearable PDF or in your journal. The imposter syndrome is characterized by such intense feelings of insecurity that the person is convinced luck is more responsible for any success they've had rather than talent or hard work. Or think of a recent accomplishment you're proud of. If someone else had achieved the same thing, would you say they were just lucky? Or would you recognize their effort, intelligence, or courage? Or what might change for you if you fully believed that you, not chance, were the key reason for your success so far? Imposter syndrome leads people directly into classic underearning behaviors such as fear of asking and assuming we don't really deserve it. Or have you ever held back from asking for more, whether it was money, recognition, or support, because a voice inside said you weren't ready or worthy yet? Whose voice might that really be? Or what would it feel like to ask for what you want even while still feeling unsure of your value? Can you imagine doing it anyway, then allowing the courage to come after? Perfectionism is a classic trait of imposter syndrome that often comes from one's own inflated view of what constitutes acceptable work. If you think only A++ work is acceptable, you'll never measure up. No human being would. Or where in your life or work are you aiming for a distinction when a solid pass would still get the job done and make a difference? Or if you weren't trying to prove your worth through flawless results, what might you do differently or more freely today? Confidence and competence are not the same thing. Just because a person is competent doesn't mean they feel confident. And just because a person is highly incompetent does not mean they feel insecure about their abilities, but that's a story for another day. Or have you ever worked with someone who radiated confidence but clearly lacked skills or insight? What did that reveal about the illusion of confidence? Or what's something you do really well even if you don't feel confident doing it yet? How might your life change if you trusted your competence more than your feelings? In the next video, we'll be identifying and analyzing the genesis of our insecurities so that we can see them from a more realistic than generous perspective. See you there.